Hey guys, Matt here with Loon Outdoors. Today we're going to be tying my Vato Caddis. It's kind of a lowrider caddis pattern dry. So we're going to start out with a Daiichi 1150 wide gap hook, size 10 to 18. And I'm going to be using a Vivus 50D. And that's going to be because we do some spinning for strength. So I start off, I just wrap the shank out. Even though we're really not adhering materials, it's more of a bonding agent for UV resin and keeping the extended body in check. So next up, what we're going to offer is, or use, is some micro pearl core braid. You can go ahead and increase that to regular pearl core braid if you're tying like an October caddis version. They don't mind the big body. I burn the end with a lighter, roll it in my fingertips while it's still molten, and we just adhere it to the body length that we want, then lash it down up front. So when I developed this pattern, it was for fish eating at the backside of eddies on the lower sac. They like the more vulnerable caddises, was what I was noticing, and this has seemed to work well for a few years for me. Typically in the evenings, so the pearl core braid comes in, makes them pop. I'm going to hit this with fluorescing resin. Now this is in our flow viscosity, so it's going to completely permeate the body, as you can see. And I just get it into the shape that I want, which is to represent an oviposting caddis. I'm going to cure it with a light for that 5 to 10 seconds with the Mega Power Lamp. Maybe longer if you're using a different light. But you can see that fluorescing really pops. Next up, some crusty nail fusion dub. It's brown, red, and gold. Works well for the cinnamon caddis. I go to a darker blend for all of my other colors of caddis because, well, they tend to be a little bit darker. So I just wrap in a really slight small bump here, and that's just to help spread the wing case that we're going to cut up next. The wing case, the material that I use is medallion wing sheeting. This one's a dark gray. You can use brown. You can use pretty much any color that you're really desiring. So once I have the wings secured in, I just lash them down, put them out either side. And you can see they sit out there. We trim off the excess. Next up is going to be our actual, one of our main things that help this float and sit right in the water. Now it's 2 mil foam and brown. And you can see I'm stretching it, and that's to have less build under the wing case. So we're just squishing it out. And then with that 50D, I can really collapse that foam and get it to just suck down there really well. This is a CDC feather in brown. You can use a dun again. I mean, sky's really the limit here. You don't have to get too particular. I'm just going with the brown theme at this point. We're going to palmer that in. So once we have some pretty hardy looking legs in there, we can go ahead and finish that off. And we'll trim these up to be more appropriate, I guess you would say, for the size of the bug and stuff like that, although the fish don't seem to care. So I'm going to pull a dubbing loop, and we're going to spin the head of this fly, and it's a little bit of a different application to create more leg effect on this pattern. What I'm going to be using is Senyo's Fusion Dub and just some deer hair tips. So I actually don't want all the really, I just want the more pokey, pointy parts. So you can see, just kind of take the tips away, trim them up. And these will actually get trimmed further once they go into the dubbing loop. But I stack them on top of the dubbing, and you could pull a much shorter loop if you were desiring. I just left this one kind of long. So you can see I'm coming in and I'm even trimming the back of those fibers, or the well, of everything, because I want that dubbing to be even shorter, in half. So I'm doing like in probably an 80-20 split on the dubbing loop there. We're just going to spin it a few times until we get really good flare, and we'll go ahead and pick it out with our scissors. And I just kind of gently brush backwards as I'm spinning this. Get a few wraps in there. It's going to look really just kind of wild, but it's kind of the plan behind it. It's a designed wildness. So I trim a pathway for the foam to come over. And I build actually like a skater head on this fly. So I get a few securing wraps, trim the foam kind of into position where I'd want it. I do throw a few wraps underneath to help that little skater head stand up well. And you can just do a real simple few whip finish. And we really just start to primp everything. I trim the bottom flat so it'll ride properly. Trim the CDC back so it's not extending. The CDC also acts like a secondary wing look for the fly. You can see the medallion wing sheeting still in there, nice. But we just do a bunch of primp work. You can color the thread if you want. It doesn't really seem to make a difference. You could throw brown or black in there, or you could use a different thread if you wanted to. It's just the 50D is my choice. So I coat with some flow and fluorescing. You can see that body just glowing, everything just going kind of wild. And that's it. That's going to be the finished product. And like I said, you know, I'll tie this to a 6 to 8 to an 18. But when you go in those bigger sizes, you want to jump up the pearl core braid and go a little heavier on the foam. Thanks for watching. See you next time.